He united a nation with his voice, built an army with his hands, and was destroyed by the very forces he helped create. Patrice Lumumba lived 35 years on this earth, and in that short time, he shook the foundations of an entire continent. His story is not simply about one man. It is about power, betrayal, and what happens when a people dare to dream of freedom in a world that profits from their chains. To understand Lumumba, you have to understand the Congo, a land so rich in diamonds, copper, rubber, and uranium that the world could not afford to let it be free. The Belgian Congo was not just a colony, it was a machine built on African bodies, African labor, and African suffering. For nearly 80 years, the Congolese people were stripped of their language, their dignity, and their right to exist as full human beings. Children grew up in a system designed to keep them small. And then came a young man from Onalua, a small village in the Kasai province, who refused to stay small. That conference lit a fire in him that would never go out. He returned to the Congo with one singular mission: independence. He was the son of a farmer, raised in a world where Congolese people were classified as subjects, not citizens. But Lumumba was different from the beginning. He was sharp, restless, and hungry for knowledge in a system that was designed to keep black Africans uneducated and obedient. He attended missionary schools, taught himself to read voraciously, and eventually became a postal clerk in Leopoldville and later in Stanleyville. He wrote poetry. He wrote political essays. He joined social clubs and debating circles. He was becoming something the Belgian colonial system had never intended to create: a Congolese intellectual who could articulate the pain of his people in the language of their oppressors. In 1956, he was arrested on charges of embezzlement, charges that many historians believe were politically motivated. Even behind bars, Lumumba was organizing, thinking, and planning. When he was released, he did not retreat. He accelerated. In 1958, he attended the All-African Peoples Conference in Accra, Ghana, where he met Kwame Nkrumah and other Pan-African leaders. It was a beautiful dream, and powerful people do not like beautiful dreams that threaten their profits. The ceremony was held in Leopoldville, and the world watched. Belgian King Baudouin sat in the front row and delivered a speech that praised Belgian colonialism as a noble gift to Africa. It was a speech dripping with arrogance, and the Congolese dignitaries sat in silence, expected to smile and applaud. Then Lumumba stood up. He had not been scheduled to speak, but he walked to the podium anyway, and what followed was one of the most electrifying speeches in African history. He spoke of the humiliations, the beatings, the stolen land, the broken families. He spoke without apology and without fear. He said, quote, "We are no longer your monkeys." And the chaos gave Belgium the excuse it needed to send troops back into the Congo. Troops that Lumumba had never invited and did not want. Lumumba inherited the Force Publique, the colonial army that Belgium had used for decades to terrorize the Congolese population. This was not a national army built on loyalty to a free people. It was a colonial instrument of violence, now awkwardly rebranded for a new era. The soldiers were Congolese, but the officers were almost entirely Belgian. The rank and file were underpaid, undertrained, and deeply resentful. They had fought under a flag that was not theirs, and now they were being asked to serve a new government without any real change in their conditions. Lumumba tried to restructure the military. He promoted Congolese officers, including a young sergeant named Joseph Désiré Mobutu, who would later become one of the most notorious dictators in African history. The country had two men claiming to lead it, and the army he had helped build, was now being used against him. The province of Katanga, the Congo's richest mining region, declared secession just 11 days after independence. Its leader, Moise Tshombe, was backed by Belgian mining interests and mercenaries. The Congo was being torn apart before it had even taken its first breath as a nation. Lumumba appealed to the United Nations for help. The United Nations sent peacekeepers, but they refused to help him suppress the Katanga secession. He then made a decision that would seal his fate. He asked the Soviet Union for military assistance. In the context of the Cold War, this was not just a political move. It was a death sentence, and they failed. But he was not the kind of man who could sit still while his country burned. In late November 1960, he attempted to escape and make his way to Stanleyville, where his supporters still held power. He was captured by soldiers loyal to Mobutu. What followed was a series of transfers, beatings, and humiliations that the world largely looked away from. On January 17, 1961, Patrice Lumumba was executed. He was 35 years old. The details of his death were hidden for decades. Belgium later formally acknowledged its role in the assassination. If stories like this matter to you, stories of courage, betrayal, and the fight for human dignity, then subscribe, because history is full of voices that were silenced before their time, and every single one of them deserves to be heard. It found Mobutu. For 32 years, Mobutu Sese Seko ruled the Congo, renamed Zaire, with an iron fist, looting the nation's wealth while his people starved. The country that Lumumba had dreamed of building became a cautionary tale of corruption and foreign exploitation. But Lumumba's name never died. Across Africa, across the Caribbean, across black communities worldwide, his name became a symbol of what genuine African leadership could look like, a symbol of what the world does to leaders who refuse to be controlled. Streets were named after him. Universities bore his name. Artists painted his face on walls from Kinshasa to Havana. Malcolm X spoke of him. Che Guevara mourned him. Nelson Mandela called him one of the greatest sons of Africa. In 2002, Belgium officially apologized for its role in his assassination. In 2022, Belgium returned a gold tooth, the only physical remain recovered, to his family. 61 years after his death, his family finally had something to bury. If this video spoke to you, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more history content like this.